Hey everybody, welcome. This is No Bones About Wrestling. I'm your host Asa, and it's me flying solo tonight. K Fabulous still feeling under the weather, and we just had her last night, thankfully, for the Dynamite watch along. But she, headed back down. She's coughing a lot. You don't want to hear her coughing for 3 hours, and neither do I. So K Fabulous is actually going to join us in the chat tonight. So that'll be fun. But yeah, tonight we are doing a retro watch along all throughout February. We're going to be doing WCW SuperBrawl, and we're going to do a couple WWF shows from pay-per-views from February as well. So this first one we're doing, Super Brawl 3, was in Asheville, North Carolina, 1993, and it's a pretty good show. We've got world champion Big Van Vader taking on Sting. It's a non-title match, but it's a leather strap match. I believe they called it a White Castle of Fear strap match, which hopefully they'll show the vignettes and you'll see what the hell that means. No, it has nothing to do with the hamburger company. Also, we have the Great Muta defending the NWA World Title. He's always fun to watch, and he's taking on Barry Windham. That is Bray Wyatt's uncle. He's known as pretty well today, but quite a wrestler back in his day as well. Um, Bunch more matches. I know we have Cactus Jack. That's Mick Foley taking on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff in a Falls Count Anywhere match. A bunch of other stuff going on. So what you want to do, if you haven't done a watch along, is just go to Peacock, go to WWF section, and just search Super B. Should get it to come up. That's all I had to enter. SUPERB, all one word. So I guess that's superb. But that made Super Brawl come up to me. So then you just click Super Brawl. It takes you to a screen with all of them, and we're watching Super Brawl 3. So as I said, this was their February event. I think they used the Roman numerals and numbering and whatnot because of Super Bowl. I think that's the Super Bowl used to be right close, within a month of the Super Bowl, and I believe that's why they use the numbers. I'm not sure on that. I'm not positive. Eric Tate says, I'm doing a lot better now. I was sick. Well, that's good to hear, Eric. K Fabulous is excited for the show. Great to hear. Great to have you with us, Eric. But yeah, so what you want to do is pull up Super Brawl 3. You want to start it, and then you want to press play, and then press rewind to where it goes to 0, and then real quick pause it. So like I said, play it. You can let it play for 5 seconds if you want, but the important part is just press rewind, pause it as fast as you can, so it's paused at 0. So when we all press play together, we'll all be at the same time. And if you get off with the times tonight, whatever happens, I'll update throughout the night. I'll update, I'll say we're at 25 minutes and 30 seconds. We're at 22 minutes and 10 seconds, this and that and the other. Linda C says, let's hear from Kay tonight. Well, she's on the chat. If you can see her, she's in the chat with you there. But she is coughing too much to be allowed on the video, unfortunately, because no one wants to hear her coughing in the headphones and other computer speakers. Thankfully, my cough's a little more under control. We both have COVID, if you don't know. So we're both doing fine, but just coughs, kind of tired. That's about it. Switch says, watch along with the Bones fam. Yes, it is. Thank you for joining us, Switch. It should be a fun night. And Kay says she's been banished. Yes, she has. She's upstairs, not downstairs. On video, like I said, I hate it, but she just is coughing too much to. It would not be pleasant for the viewers or for me to listen to her cough for 3 hours. So yeah, she'll be in the chat though. And I tell you, 19. Let me see, Alexa, what time is it?
It's 7:57 p.m.
We're gonna start in 3 minutes. Switch says, "Poor Mama K, get better." We're gonna start in 3 minutes here. I tell you, 1993 WCW. It's special to me because this is actually when I started watching wrestling. I started in the summer of '93. I just found it flipping through the channels one day, and it was actually WCW that I watched, and I was like, what in the world is this? They got these big guys, beating on each other. I think it was around June or July I started watching of '93, and the first thing I saw, I remember, was Cactus Jack and Vader fighting. I think it was that match where Vader power bombed Jack um, on the floor and made him lose his memory. Whenever that match was, but I first started watching WCW in '93, so the '93 shows have a real special bit of nostalgia in my heart and my mind. Um, just because they're from like my formative years watching wrestling. So I hope you enjoy this one as much as I do. There's some good matches. There's a couple that don't look so great, but most of the matches look pretty good. We also have Dustin Rhodes defending his U.S. title tonight. We got some good stuff on tap for you. And if you want to see the card for yourself, I would suggest go just search for SuperBrawl III non-spoiler card, and you can see it on Cage Match. You can see the card without it telling you the results. So if you want to be surprised, like I haven't seen this show in years, so I remember some of the results, but not most of them. So I'm going to be as surprised as some of y'all are at the results. So it should be fun. Uh, Eric says at Center Stage in April. Is that when that Cactus Jack and Vader match was? And then so this is from February of '93 in Asheville, North Carolina, my home state. So yeah, I just thought it'll be fun. We're doing this, and next week we're doing WWF St. Valentine's Day Massacre from 1999. So that one should be fun too. But tonight it's WCW's night. Got my Halloween Havoc shirt on, and we're ready to go. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 8 p.m.
It's 8 o'clock. We are gonna get started. So I'm gonna give everybody just a couple seconds to get Super Brawl 3 pulled up on their TV. Just give you a couple seconds to get it pulled up, and like I said, you want to play it just a little, and then press rewind and pause real quick. So you're paused at 0. So for those of you just joining us, like I said, find Super Brawl 3. It's Peacock, WWE section, WCW section, and then just search SUPERB. Or you don't even have to do all that. Just go to WWF section, search SUPERB, and click the Super Brawl picture, and then Super Brawl 3 will be there. Click on that, and then so let it start playing, and pause it. Press rewind, pause real quick. So you're paused at 0. So when we all press play, we'll start at the same time. And so we're going to start. This is not the countdown. I'm just telling you what the countdown will be. I'm going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So when I say play, press play. So here we go. I hope everyone's ready. And like I said, if you're not, if you get off, I'll say throughout the show, oh, we're at 10 minutes in, we're 5 minutes in, blah, blah, blah. So here we go. Countdown. Get ready to hit play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So here we are, Super Brawl 3. We've got Barry Windham holding Sting in a compromising position there. And we're talking about the Vader and Sting feud, which was a great feud. It's so weird this match is a non-title match, but what can you do? So now, after weeks of uncontrollable mayhem, Sting stands up to evil and embarks on a quest to conquer the White Castle of Fear. That helicopter ride, that's when Sting got to the White Castle of Fear, which is a literal castle that Vader rules over, apparently. It has nothing to do with the hamburgers, again. SuperBrawl III, Asheville, North Carolina. Eric says WWE needs to have the rights for the Super Brawl name. It is a good name. It's a good name. Oh wait, they do have the rights, Eric. I'm not. What am I thinking? They do have the rights. They have the rights to everything WCW now. They purchased them in 2001, of course. Switch says Vader was a great big man. Yeah, maybe the best. Fantastic. I love him. And as they just said, Dustin Rhodes defends his U.S. title against Max Payne tonight. And it's Missy Hyatt. I just saw her at an independent show last week, and she looks very different. I think she's had a lot of cosmetic surgery and looks a bit different. Welcome, the Batman, Johnny B. Bad. Here he comes. I'm not sure if this is the first match or what. I assume it is. Like I said, I haven't looked at the card. I didn't want it spoiled. So it makes it more fun to watch these shows with everybody if I don't know every single thing that's going to happen. So I don't know. Is his gimmick, is he supposed to be? I guess not. He's into women. I was going to say, he's supposed to look like Little Richard, but Little Richard was into dudes. But Johnny B. Bad is into women. I think that's the only difference between he and Little Richard. Little Richard didn't have the Bad Blaster. There it goes.
It's contagious. This is the place to be at SuperBrawl III. We got the NWA heavyweight title. The Green Muda will be taking on Baron Windham. Baby boy Smith and England is here tonight. This is a good place to be a fan. Let's kick it off. Let's get down to Tony Schiavone and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Kay said he's like Prince. Oh, here we go. No, this is a commentating team. Love these guys together.
I came to WCW SuperBrawl II. I've been here a whole year now. It's time for SuperBrawl III. Everybody is talking about the White Castle Fear. In this match to win, you must drag your opponent around the ring, touching all four corners in succession, in or out of the ring. Sting and Big Ben Vader, and what a contest it will be. It's going to be a tough challenge for Sting, and I'll tell you why. Shivani Vader weighs over 400 pounds. I'm not really sure he can knock him out if he can drag him in all four corners. Of course, Barry, whenever the great move will get the
Be right back while I talk about the card.
Well, it's just got to throw Dustin Rhodes off, and it's got to throw him off badly. You know, he was prepared for Ron Simmons, but he's going to get Max Payne, and he may feel pain. Max Payne said he would have Norma Jean with him here at SuperBrawl. What is that? Right now, let's go to this introduction from Gary Capetta. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please stand for the playing of Max Payne's rendition of the national anthem.
Eric says that's the year JR went to WWF. There, I turned my TV audio down. Antonio, my friend, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining us. Kay says, hey, Antonio. So, yeah, if you missed it, Kay, because of her COVID cough, is banished to upstairs. I have COVID too, but I'm not coughing, which is why I'm the only host tonight. because I can get through a sentence without coughing. Got the Hollywood Blondes here. I think this is before they were referred to as the Hollywood Blondes. Yes, we are friends, Antonio. Glad to have you here. Switch says, I love the Hollywood Blondes. Yeah, same here. Love them. One of the best heel tag teams. Maybe the best heel tag team there is. I don't know. They're in the top 5, like, heel tag teams, no doubt. So here they're facing Eric Watts, who is the son of Bill Watts, who's a promoter. And Eric Watts is teaming up with Marcus Alexander Bagwell, better known today as Buff Bagwell. And Eric says, good heel team, talking about the Blondes. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, though. I look at him right now, Shivani, totally as the unproud champions. I think they've outclassed the champions.
And yeah, I think they said the Blondes are the number 1 contenders here. They're facing just the 2 youngsters. It'd be quite an upset if Watts and Bagwell were to win this. Kay said, I'd love to see current Stone Cold wear a wig of his blonde hair. That would be something. I'm sure he would do it. He seems like a fun-loving guy. Yeah, Steve Austin. I don't even need to say one of the best of all time. And you'll see here how different his style was before he injured his neck in 1997. Very different wrestler in WCW than WWF. Switch says, I never could get behind Eric Watts. He should have used another name. Yeah. Most people couldn't get behind him. Yeah, he just wasn't very good. Most people believe he only got the job because of his father, Bill Watts, who was the booker for WCW at the time. I'm not sure who was booker right now. There's a transition period. I mean, at this point, could have been Bill Watts. It might have been Dusty Rhodes. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was one of those two, though. Eric says he was 20 years old in 1993. That's a good time to be 20. I was 9. Steven, what's up, man? How you doing? Steven says Techno Team 2000 in WWE. Yikes. Kay says she missed you, Steven. Yeah, we both missed you. We were worried. And for those of you, if you've just joined us recently here, we're watching SuperBrawl III, and we are at 10 minutes and 41 seconds in. The Hollywood Blondes versus Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Eric Watts. Or was it Watt? I can't even think now. I think it was Watts. Yeah. Steven says, "Hi, Kay. A lot going on. Caregiver taking care of my mom, recovering from a stroke." Yeah, we wish you and your mom the best, Steven. It's a tough situation. Hopefully, we can bring you a little fun tonight. Yeah, Watts, as they said, won WCW Rookie of the Year, I believe. They were talking about either him or Bagwell. Interesting. I know Bagwell won it. I think they might have given it to Watts in 92 and Bagwell in 93. I wish I had a copy of WCW Magazine in front of me. Steven says, "Where are you at? SuperBrawl 3. Yeah, SuperBrawl 3, 12 minutes, 18 seconds in. And Switch is saying, depending on when this pay-per-view was, which is February 93, the booker was Bill Watts, Bill Shaw, or Eric Bischoff. Yeah, Bischoff did take over in 93. I'm not sure at what point is what I meant to say. I know he was the booker by October 93. I think he was booker earlier than that. Steven says Bagwell right now in jail. Oh, I didn't hear about that. I just saw him like 2.5 months ago at a wrestling convention. I didn't know he was in jail. That's sad. For what? Do you know?
No, I didn't. So you believe whatever he said? Yeah, but then again, you got 20/20 hearing, don't you? You have a lot of hair too.
Steven says he announced it. Oh. Huh. Did not know that. I know he's had some issues with drugs and so hopefully he gets himself together. I know DDP was helping him out for a little while. You know, DDP seems to help a lot of guys get back on the right path. Steven says it was something about his probation. I got you. That sucks. And Switch says what happened. Buff was doing good. Yeah, like I said, last I heard, he was doing pretty well.
You can get a guy to submit without breaking the rules, Jesse. And here comes one after Bagwell and stay with me. Stretching the rules makes it easier. You always want to take the easy way out. That's for all the kids at home. Yeah, I know. You got kids listening. I got kids listening. I hope they don't listen to what you say. It's like Austin did right there. That's right. The tag is made.
Hollywood Blondes, some double teaming on Bagwell. Eric says DDP has a good heart. Yeah, he definitely does. Seems like a genuinely nice guy. He's helped, he helped Scott Hall walk again. He's helped Mick Foley regain some mobility. Helped Buff Bagwell out. Helped Jake Roberts lose a lot of weight, and there are more. They're just not coming to mind right now. But yeah, he seems like a good guy. Steven says, I'm at 1326. Let me see. I am at 1528. Linda says he violated the confidentiality rules of his DUI. The confidential, that's weird. I don't even know what that means. Huh. Does that just mean he's not allowed to talk about it or what? I don't understand. Watts goes for a pin. Nope. Man, Watts is terrible. He is not good.
Get down into the war. Put the pressure on the lower back on Stomach Steve.
You saw Steve tap. In today's wrestling world, he would have tapped out, but tapping out was not a thing back in 1993. Usually the wrestler would just vocally say, yeah, I quit, or, would kind of shake his head yes at the ref. Tapping out wasn't it was used just to show, you're in pain instead of you're giving up the match. Kay said she's talking to her students about DDP today. What about DDP? How does DDP fit into the schools? Brian Pillman, great shape, chopping Watts. Brian Pillman, another guy in this match who had his, who had his troubles. I believe he was a steroid user, and he was, he used drugs as well, and ended up dying very young. Brian Pillman did. I think it was in 1997 he died, very shortly after this. Steven says they really tried Eric Watts. Yes, they did. I remember a feud with Arn breaking his leg, slamming a car door, and did an STF outside a gas station. I remember that. I had forgotten about that, but yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they really did try to get him over. And as you can see, I don't think he's over in this match. Maybe he is. Or if it's the fans just cheering against the Blondes, But at points in this match, it seems like he is over. But whatever it was, it lasted for a very short amount of time. I mean, by 93, I think he was gone by later in 93, the end of 93, I think he was out of WCW. Kay says she was talking about DDP yoga during lunch. They asked her if she had seen Shark Tank, and I told them I'd only ever seen the segment DDP was on. Linda says Buff was jailed for 72 hours. Oh, okay, for disclosing info about his court-ordered DUI program. That's weird. I've never heard of such a thing, but I will take your word for it. So I guess he's out, hopefully. Excuse me, real quick. I'm going to turn the brightness on my phone up.
Stunning Steve's going to fire him back into the ring, which is the place where Eric Watts does not want to be. Austin slips to the shoulder.
There we go. So for those of you just joining us for Super Brawl 3, we are at 20 minutes, 15 seconds. And this is, of course, available on Peacock. Steven says he remembers the Shark Tank episode with DDP trying to get the Sharks to buy his yoga. He had some bites, but he thought it's worth more than they're offering. Yeah, I agree it is. I actually have it. I did use it for a while, and it was a good workout. But right now, that was years ago. Right now, I'm too out of shape to do it. Like, it's an intense workout, no joke. So I need to get more in shape so I can do DDP yoga again. Because yeah, it was a great workout.
This is not a game of woulda. It's a game of coulda.
No, I'm trying to get in shape.
Okay, I'm settled. And now the tag is made.
More double teaming from the Blondes, who really, as they went on, really became a great team. Like, it's great at working together, the Blondes. And they became better at working the crowd as well. By August of '93, they were like one of the hottest heel acts in WCW. Steven says he never tried DDP yoga. If you like I said, if you're not in shape right now, like me, I would not recommend it because it's a good level workout. But if you're in shape and you want to try something else, try something new, I would definitely recommend it. And even you don't have to do it as hardcore as he does it on the video. So you could kind of modify it and do it, but I would highly recommend it. It's like I said, just great workout, I thought. It comes with like 5 different discs, I think. If you get the whole deal. Oh, Kay is pointing out that DDP Yoga has options for people who can barely walk, and there's a beginner level that meets you where you are physically. That is true. I forgot about that. She is right about that. And Steven says Colonel Parker ruined the tag team, getting Austin to dump Pillman. Yeah, definitely. And then they feuded. Austin and Pillman did. Kay recommends it for anyone at any level. I don't know about that, but yeah, they can like she said, you can modify it if you're not in the best shape or if you are just in bed. True. Yeah. The beginner workout is a pretty good one. Steven said needs to check it out. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. Switch says Stevie Richards has a beginner level of DDP yoga. They've given this opening match some time here. I think we're about to see the end right here. Very soon. Eric Watts is hugging the ref for some reason. There we go. Double teaming. Excuse me. Illegal interfering by Austin. That's it. Yep. You see me put my head down after the match. I'm just writing who won and my rating and all that, and I'll go over all that at the end of the show if you care to see it, care to hear it. Oh, this is the White Castle of Fear. This is it. They're only going to show it in little snippets, apparently. Hey, there's no one there. It's okay.
I'm so excited. I'm going to get the first ever interview with tonight's boyfriend. Here's from the scene. What's it big?
Steven says DDP helped a lot of wrestlers. Yeah. Don't know if he's helped any AEW wrestlers since he signed a Legends deal with WWE. I'm not sure about that either. I know he helped Jake the Snake, but I'm not sure if that was before the Legends deal or not. And Switch says this is a pretty good opener. Are we giving Bones ratings after the show is over? Yeah, always. On these retro shows, I always give the Bones ratings right after the show because we don't have a weekly show like AEW Weekly or WWE Weekly, because then I wait and hopefully people watch the shows and want to hear the ratings. But tonight I'll just do them at the end. Yeah.
Nature Boy Ric Flair. Good to see him. He's looking great. Tremendous amount of security around.
Actually, I guess I could do them while we're going. Why not? Uh, Good match there, I thought. Nothing amazing, but good match with Austin and Pillman getting the win. Gave that one 3.5 bones out of 5. Good, solid, 15-minute opener. Oh, here we got Chris Benoit coming out, a young Chris Benoit. Eric Tate says, was it hard being a wrestling manager? No, not at all. It was a blast. I was a manager for a short amount of time in an indie promotion. But no, it was one of my favorite things I've ever done in my life. It was so easy. Just my job was basically just go out there and act like a jerk and make people hate you, which was really fun. Which I don't think I'm a jerk in reality, so it was nice to kind of just play a total piece of shit and just work play the opposite of myself in real life. And no, it was not hard at all. It was a blast. It was so much fun. Um, yeah, one of my favorite things I've done in my life, definitely. Steven says Mark Mero looks like a goofy little Richard reject dressed like he's in a cruise ship. Yes, he does. Switch says I forgot Too Cold was in WCW. Yeah, this should be a pretty good match here. I haven't seen a lot of Chris Benoit at this point in his career, so we'll see. And Steven has a fact about DDP. He says he was the driver. That's right. He was the driver for the Rhythm and Blues Cadillac at WrestleMania 6 in Toronto. Yeah, in the Sky Dome. DDP driving the limousine. Kay says she can vouch for the fact that I'm not a jerk. There we go. And Switch says this should be good. Yeah, so this should be pretty damn good. I agree with everybody. I remember seeing this on the card and being like, wow. So this is just a couple years before both of these guys were actually in ECW after they left WCW.
The Chamber of Horrors. Ever been there? Oh, I've heard a lot about it. Stu Hart, legendary wrestler and promoter from Calgary.
I'll be right back.
What a chop by Chris Benoit on the cold base. Working out, playing.
And so yeah, if you're just joining us, we're watching SuperBrawl III. We are at 30 minutes 54 seconds.
Just slowing things down here, Jess. Well, it's a smart move by Benoit, you know. If you gotta pay him out, pay him out. That's the one thing in wrestling where you get a legal timeout. Go outside the ring.
And Steven is saying you can see the difference body wise from Chris Benoit to early WWE. Yeah, I'm not sure if he was not using steroids at this point. I assume he was, but I think he ramped it up when he went to WWE because he looked like a beast when he was in WWE. I mean, his upper body, it's pretty good here. He's pretty roided out here, I think, but you know, he had all the veins popping out and shit when he was in WWE.
See it. Well, you're right about that. They might be rich. They go right for that. Here he goes. I knew it was a line. And Scorpio. I lived in the state for 8 years. That's what I said. They might be rich. I want to do that one. Violation of your neck does look Did you watch the match? I'm watching the match. I'm watching Benoit get an arm bar with a knee drill and doing his feeling some pain out there from the cold man. Nick Patrick is the referee assigned in this match. Almost like a hammerlock. By the way, Shivani, where are the Smoky Mountains anyway? You're right in the base of the Smoky Mountains.
Steven asks, what did you think of Dynamite last night? I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a great show. I think we had some very good matches, and we saw some storylines advance towards Grand Slam, but not only towards Grand Slam, but towards Revolution in March as well. So yeah, I loved it. I thought Dynamite was the best Dynamite in a couple months, I think. Yeah, what do we have? Osprey versus the Mystery Man, Mark Davis. That was cool. Hounds of Hell versus Fletcher and Takeshita was great. Tony Storm and Amanado was okay. And then Ricochet versus Swerve was awesome. A little too much talking for my taste. A little too much. But at least the talking had purpose. And like I said, they were building up angles and feuds and stuff. So yeah, a great show, just a little too much talking. And that's what Kay said. Too much talking. Oh, right. I left it out. And the Guns came back. Yeah. It was nice that Mark Davis come back, the Guns come back, and nobody I saw on the internet predicted either of those for last night. So it was cool to have some surprises. You know, that makes wrestling fun when you can get surprised by something. Yeah, it's a great show. And this has been a great match here so far. Very much, excuse me, very much the kind of style that made these two popular in Japan.
Shivani, believe me, in this position, more of it's on the neck than it's on the legs. You see the body angle right there.
Oh, they're doing some lucha libre shit now. These two were just, you know, wow. Awesome. Just masters of that style, of the lucha libre style, and the mixing it with technical wrestling. Just yeah, great at it. Too Cold Scorpio, met him a couple months ago. He was a very nice guy. I got an autographed picture that's going up back here as soon as I can get it framed. And Stephen Chambers says Tony Khan immediately ended the MJF Jeff Jarrett feud, instead wanting MJF versus Hangman. Yeah, that was kind of strange. Maybe he has the Jeff Jarrett thing going in a different direction. I don't know. We didn't have Jeff Jarrett at all last night, so I'm curious. Yeah, which way he's going with Jarrett. But MJF and Hangman will be better than MJF and Jarrett. So yeah. and he's got to figure something out with Jarrett because that can get over. He just has to. Tony Khan, I mean, has to get it over. He has to figure out how to make it to where the fans want Jarrett to get a world title shot. And Steven is saying both of these guys are in their prime here. Yeah, definitely. It's awesome. This may end up being the best match of the night. I would not be surprised.
No, we call them wrestler. They are wrestler. Okay, they are wrestlers. I forgot what I was saying. Go ahead, Jesse, talk. Don't you order me around. Well, see, over. The catcher together make a 2 count, and then I got out. But 2 wrestlers who are really sharp on that on top of the game. Basically, like a stalemate so far. So far it is. It's like
Hey, Fabulous says, I took it as Hangman cutting in front of Jarrett in the line. Not that they aren't going to do it. Meaning Jeff Jarrett getting a title shot or MJF Jarrett feud. Interesting. I'm not sure how to take it, honestly, yeah. God damn. That was a that was a good shot to the turnbuckle. Steven says Benoit was under the mask in New Japan as a Pegasus Kid. Yeah. Oh wow. So yeah, if you want to see some Benoit in Japan, that's right. A lot of matches he was the Pegasus Kid.
especially against a guy like Chris Benoit. I'll tell you, I got impressed with this kid when I saw him in that tag tournament.
So I guess Benoit's the heel here, but I don't think most WCW fans knew who he was, honestly, at this point. Know who he was after this match.
He knows what he's doing, Shamaki. Well, I didn't say that. Obviously knows what he's doing. He's one of the great wrestlers.
Eric is saying the new Raw set will be added to 2K25. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna definitely get that. I've still got 2K24 I haven't played too much of that I need to get on playing. I may do that tonight actually, but I need to get on playing that one. I'm gonna play that for a good bit and maybe wait for 2K25 to have a little price drop, I think. Steven says Benoit has a good clothesline. Yeah, he has a great clothesline. I agree.
It's the shortcut, Jesse, that you preached about last match. Yeah, but you told me that guys like Kubo Scorpio don't pay for it. Don't talk with ice in your mouth. Benoit. Nice shot to the head in Scorpio's days. Even though Scorpio got out of that last move, Benoit's still the offense. Oh my goodness,
And Steven says Benoit debuted in WCW in a tag team tournament representing Canada, teaming with Beef Wellington. I know I've heard that name. Was Beef Wellington? Was he someone else also? I know I've heard that name.
Down on the floor is Benoit. Or is Scorpio. Benoit and Benoit doing the same thing that Scorpio did. He's not going on the outside after he won it either. Good looking forearm there by Benoit. Oh, he blocked that. Benoit gets introduced in the turnbuckle and then a big shoulder block.
Oh. SuperBrawl III, pretty damn good so far, I think.
I believe Chris Benoit can measure him and do what he wants to him right here. This could be the end of the bout.
And still to come, we've got Cactus Jack and Paul Orndorff in a Falls Count Anywhere match. We've got Sting and Big Van Vader in a non-title strap match that's very good, as I remember it. And we've got the Great Muta defending the NWA World Title against Barry Windham. And some other matches. I forget how many matches there are total, but this is match number 2 here.
All wrestlers are athletes. In the midsection. That's a given.
And Steven says when the tag titles were held up and the Steiners were feuding with Terry Gordy and Dr. Death Steve Williams. I guess it was, yeah, tag team tournament. Was it a I don't remember it that well, Steven. Was it a one night tournament or was it like multi nights on multiple shows? The tag title tournament.
Never seen on, but really, Scorpio had one arm down on the mat, so he really didn't have it look like he wanted to because Scorpio had turned a little bit here, Jeff. Once again, back to the reverse chinlock he goes. Okay, we are 3/4 of the way through. 15 minutes in this 20-minute time limit. So far.
Oh, now we're talking about the time limit. 15 minutes into a 20-minute time limit.
Well, Scorpio had the early advantage, I would say, through the first 10 minutes of the bout, but so far the last 5 or 6, it's been Chris Benoit.
Steven says it was at a Clash of the Champions. Awesome. Got to go back and watch that. And if you're watching, if you don't know what Clash of the Champions was, it was kind of like how AEW does their, whatever they call it, Champions show, whatever they call it. Except the matches at WCW Clash of the Champions actually mattered, and you would see title changes. It was like WCW Clash of the Champions, really, most of them were like a pay-per-view, without it being on pay-per-view. I mean, really, there were some great shows.
I'm always right. I'll never doubt. Back to the attack goes Benoit again. One, two, one. Since that move, not only is Scorpio still groggy, but Benoit's groggy as well. Again. You got these guys to put out. We're at about the 18-minute mark right now. Back and forth. Tremendous move. Scorpio almost stole one away right there. Excellent move.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna go over here. I don't know. If I had to pick, I guess I'd say Scorpio, because like I said, I don't think the WCW fans knew who Benoit was, really. Not well. We may end up getting a time limit draw here. Got 3 minutes left. It's been a good one.
He's taking it for a little stall move. I'm talking about the man kicking away. I'm talking about the referee's count. Scorpio trying to get into a sunset flip, but not too close to the rope. Benoit, the quicker man to recover, still staying on the offense. Sending Scorpio in. Benoit with a hit of steam. Scorpio right to the draw. Catches the foot. Gets him over the leg. He's holding his head. And I think that's the same spot he hurt his head.
Man, I tell you what sucks is when 2026 hits, it looks like the WCW stuff looks like it'll be going away. It's going off Peacock unless WWE extends it for some reason. Hopefully they keep access to WCW somehow. I hate that they would own it and us not be able to access it at all. Because I love WCW. I like it more than WWF personally. But I mean that's just personal preference. Looking for the 450 here. Oh, no, he wasn't. Wow. Oh. Is he looking for the headbutt? Nope, not his finisher yet, maybe. Flying leg drop by Benoit. Eric says the name WCW will never die. I hope that's true. Scorpio roll up, 2 count. I think we're getting a time limit draw here. Up. 1, 2, 3. Did he get him? Scorpio got him. That was a great match, I thought. Very good match there. Too Cold Scorpio picks up the win. I'm going to give that one 4.5 bones out of 5. Pretty darn good match, I thought. Lulled a little in the middle there, but the rest of the action was so good it didn't really. Who cares? You know?
Now, and talk to the WCW superstars on the 900 hotline. Michael PSA's Gordon Soler back there. In fact, the natural Dustin Rhodes is there.
Gordon Soley, one of my favorite announcers, was an announcer for NWA Mid-Atlantic for quite a while there.
Payne, and speaking of Max Payne, I would at this time like to introduce Max Payne. Obviously, at the head of SuperBrawl III, we talked about the fact that Ron Simmons, unable to challenge the natural because of his shoulder injury. You had a team of attorneys, managers, negotiating with WCW. Finally, it has been signed. You will face Dustin Rhodes right here tonight at SuperBrawl III. And this is a tremendous matchup that I know. I want to know if you can give me an opportunity. We have that opportunity. Well, after a cordial introduction, all of you people to Norman G, now you know it's real. Just like the shoulder injury. Ron Simmons is real. And what an unfortunate incident that is. And Dustin Rhodes, it's not an unfortunate incident to you, my friend. It means hell. It's Norman and I really cheating on it. We talked about it a little bit. I think we have, so to speak, for a reason. Dustin Rhodes, would you like his mother?
Max Payne, I used to really enjoy him. He eventually ended up teaming up with Cactus Jack to make a pretty good tag team. And Steven here is listing the topics for Dark Side of the Ring Season 6, which if you don't watch those, I would definitely watch them. Some very interesting and sad stories. Superstar Billy Graham, Test, Big Van Vader, Tony Atlas, Hell in a Cell. I assume that's the Mick Foley and Undertaker match. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Daphne, Billy Jack Haynes, Ludwig Borga, the original Sheik as well. And Steven says, Man Mountain Rock, terrible gimmick in the WWF. Yeah, Max Payne went to WWF and wore all tie-dye, if memory serves me right. And didn't he have, I think he had his hair in braids. It just was not good. Yeah. And it was known as Man Mountain Rock. So here we got Wild Bill Irwin.
Weighing 261 pounds.
Oh, nice. Oh, they say making his first WCW appearance. Yeah. It was just 6 months before this. He main evented SummerSlam with Bret Hart. Won the Intercontinental title.
WCW will be going into Great Britain, Scotland, Northern Ireland beginning on March 11th. The Davey Boy Smith will be part of that tour.
Talk about another one, died too soon. So many sad stories about wrestlers dying too soon. Hopefully, this generation, it seems like they're not doing as many drugs, not living quite as hard because they're not on the road 365. Hopefully, we don't have quite as many sad stories from this generation of wrestlers. And also, right, speaking of steroids, Davey Boy Smith, yeah. Yeah, he and his tag team partner in the British Bulldogs, the Dynamite Kid, they both did a ton of steroids. But I tell you what, they were both very good wrestlers.
Bill says he yanked me by the hair. Wild Bill's got my hair today. Shabani, why don't you do your hair in cornrows like the Bulldog? I do that for you, Jess. I don't think anybody that I know has the time to do my hair.
No, I'll give you two guesses who's going to win this match. Yeah, if you're just joining us, we are at 53 minutes, 40 seconds. And we got the British Bulldog wrestling Wild Bill Irwin here. Which I don't know. I couldn't tell you one other thing Bill Irwin ever did. And Steven says, yeah, Davey Boy Smith hurt his back slammed on a trap door. Yeah, if you don't know the story, it was when 1998 WCW had brought back the Ultimate Warrior, and they had all these things where smoke would come up and he would vanish, but they had a trap door in the ring, and so he would just open the trap door, go under. But this trap door, there was like a ledge, kind of it was sticking out, which is super dangerous. And Davey Boy Smith got slammed on it one night and injured his back. And from the stories, his back was just never the same. That's when he got addicted to pain pills. And he wrestled after that for a year or two. But just he was never the same after hurting his back that way. Yeah. And Eric said Lex did too. I guess talking about steroids. Yeah, I love Lex Luger. Another very nice guy. Met him in November, just briefly, and just very pleasant, very nice guy. Just glad to meet fans. Just cool guy. Another terrible gimmick. Steven says the Goon. Oh wait, is Wild Bill Irwin? Was he the Goon? Oh my God, I didn't realize that. I thought he looked familiar. I did not realize that. Yeah, so the Goon was this terrible, hockey player gimmick in like 1996, 97 WWF. Wow, I did not realize that. Thank you, Steven.
And Wild Bill's getting the advantage now. This is what he's got to do. Rough up Davey Boy. Get away with what he can. Big elbow. Like the sternum.
Yeah, Irwin shaved his beard to do that character. He looked about
Irwin to the attack again.
looked about
And Davey Boy Smith
15 years younger when he shaved off his beard to do the goon character.
1, 2. Davey Boy once again. Big kick away. Wow.
And then I couldn't tell you one thing that the goon did in WWF.
So keeping Davey Boy off his feet is not bad strategy.
Cut his hair too. Yeah, he kind of cut it into the hockey hair. Uh,
Long hairs and choke him. Davey Boy going back and forth with Irwin. Neither man, and this is toe to toe. Look at that. Forearm sharks, all of them. And Davey Boy.
suplex. Yeah. And the fans loving it, Davey Boy Smith. He was one of my favorites as a kid, definitely. Oh, Bill Irwin sucks.
It's amazing. You've been doing your homework. I sure have. Wow. You got to be prepared.
You learned something new. I don't know if you heard it, but Tony Schiavone said the Irish Whip was introduced in a match in Ireland in 1863. Never knew that. And the running power slam, I believe that's it.
Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, here's the textbook suplex. Check this out. Gets him out, holds him there for 30 seconds. Runs Wild Bill right into the canvas. Wild Bill trying to come off the top rope. Davey Boy catches him. Tremendous power right there. Turns him around. Points him up right where he wants him. Sets him up for the patented British Bulldog power body slam. Wow. There it is.
So yeah, Davey Boy Smith gets the pin after a running power slam. I'm going to rate that one 2 bones out of 5. You know, it wasn't anything terrible or offensive. It just was, was predictable. Here's more of the White Castle of Fear. They're just going to show us bits of it. But yeah, so I give it 2 bones out of 5. Just, wasn't much of anything. You had Bill Irwin botching and no selling when I bet he wasn't supposed to be no selling. It just was, wasn't much of anything. Nothing against Davey Boy Smith. He looked great, but yeah, just the match was not so great. So that's probably the worst match we've seen tonight. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I've had, like I said, I have COVID. So when I feel the need to cough, I've just been leaving real quick. I don't want anyone to see me having a coughing fit or anything like that. So try to keep it to a minimum. And Eric says, "I'm so happy WWE does not do any more gimmick stars." Yeah. And Steven says, "Gotta go. Talk to you later." All right, Steven, it was fun. Adding to the podcast. I always appreciate you being here. Have a good night.
Let's get ready for Cactus Jack.
So yeah, here we've got a Falls Count Anywhere match coming up between Cactus Jack and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Just a few moments, you're going to be getting into a match with Captain Jack. His falls got absolutely anywhere. What is going through your mind? Well, let me tell you something right now, Captain Jack. I think you understand me better.
What? What was he saying? There we got Cactus Jack, who was the character who got me into wrestling. Like I said, he and Big Van Vader are the ones who got me into wrestling.
Street fight. Anywhere in the building, they can fight each other. They can even go in the parking lot.
So we'll see. We'll see how wild this one gets. Orndorff was good, but he was older at this point, so I think Cactus Jack will have to absorb most of the brutality in this one. I don't see Orndorff taking a lot of hard falls. Holy shit. Looked like he slammed him right into the steel barricade there. Yeah, Mick Foley would say, his stuff, it looked so good. It looked like it hurt because it did hurt. A lot of times he would, tell guys, oh, just do it. Just really do this. So here, I'm sure we're going to see Cactus get probably backflipped onto the floor. Oh, no. We may in a minute. Yeah, I'm not sure if this had any feud behind it or what the deal was. They didn't mention any just now, but that doesn't mean there wasn't one. Oh my god! Oh my god! That looked brutal. Oh my god. That sunset flip that Mick Foley tried and just slammed into the concrete. Holy shit. Brutal.
Wonderful's going to work on it now. It's not so wonderful. Finally going to take him into the ring. This is amazing. But the one thing about Cactus Jack, it seems the more Cactus feels, the more excited he is. The more he enjoys the most. Look at the smile on his face. He's loving it. When people have no teeth in front, it's hard to tell when you're smiling or grimacing. Wonderful's doing a little oral surgery on it now. He's got the fingers right inside his mouth.
Antonio saying tomorrow SmackDown. Yeah, we take the night off on Friday here. SmackDown tomorrow, and this Saturday Collision on TNT. Yeah, and we will be doing a watch along of Collision, starting at 7:55, 5 minutes before the show starts. We'll run down the card and just do that stuff real quick, and then have the watch along. So Saturday, maybe K Fabulous will be better by then. That would be nice. If not, I think it'll be Wolf and perhaps Willie joining me for Collision. Yeah, if it's as good as Dynamite was last night, we're gonna have a nice show. And speaking of which, I know Ring of Honor tonight. Tony Khan booked a number of luchadors. Two matches that I know of involving a total of 5 luchadors, including Commander, the World Television Champion. But then it had 4 other luchadors who aren't usually in Ring of Honor. Um, yeah, looked like a good time. I think I'm not sure. I think maybe they were in Texas. Oh fuck, some brutal moves here by Orndorff to Foley.
There's no way that you could possibly trace.
Eric Tate says if the NWO was never created, what do you think WCW would be like in 1996? That's a great question. It feels like Hulk Hogan would have had to turn heel. So I think we would have ended up with Nash and Hall as faces somehow. And Hogan, people were so tired of his red and yellow deal, he had to turn heel. So I'm sure we would end up with the big feud being like Nash versus Hogan, Hall versus Hogan. I think we'd see those feuds for sure. The first two when those guys got there. Um, I think we would see Ric Flair used more during that time because Bischoff did not like Ric Flair for a while, didn't like him, and when the NWO was around, didn't use him. Felt like he didn't need him. But I think they would have had to lean on Ric Flair some without the NWO being a thing. Um, so yeah, just more Flair. Macho Man would have been a higher profile than he was as well. Um, Piper would have been higher profile than he was. Just the NWO, it was awesome. It was a great angle. I love them. I still have NWO shirts. Um, but yeah, it took the focus out of a lot of guys who were in it. With them being part of this huge faction. At first, it was Hogan, Hall, and Nash, which was awesome. It worked out, and then just kept adding more and more. I think by the time they got to 6, which Sean Waltman, X Pac, was 6, SYXX. He was member number 6. I think they should have stopped, but they didn't, and they just kept adding members, and it was cool and it was fun. I'm not knocking the NWO. I loved it, but as I said, if it didn't exist, you would see the legends who joined up with WCW. You would have seen them used in very different ways. Um, Piper and Randy Savage, and like I said, you see Hall and Nash feuding with Hogan for sure at the top, uh, leaning on Ric Flair more if I haven't already said that, and yeah, I think in general that's what we would have seen. Um, and of course the cruiserweights I think would have taken more of a role in WCW as well. I think after those older superstars I was just talking about, I think right under them, if the NWO hadn't existed, would have been WCW's cruiserweights. I mean, they had an awesome division: Chavo Guerrero Jr., Chris Jericho, Juventud Guerrera, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit. I mean, you could just go on and on. Rey Mysterio Jr. You could go on and on about the cruiserweights that they had. Um, eventually, like Shane Helms, they had Shannon Moore, Jamie Noble, um, Blitzkrieg. Just their cruiserweight division was second to none, and I think they would have been a bigger draw for WCW. They would have been used in a better way if the NWO hadn't existed. Um, Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. And last thing, I think DDP, his rise uh, would have been faster because they would have needed another face faster than I think that than they needed him. When DDP didn't become world champ till '99, but he was around like WCW as of like '95, I think '96. So I think he would have won the world title. You know, I bet probably like in 1997. I bet DDP would have won the world title if the NWO didn't exist. Um, yeah, you just was seeing other singles careers elevated, the cruiser division really elevated. I think uh, the Giant also I think would have been a bigger singles draw, and Sting. I don't know what would have happened to Sting because he was still, he wasn't like bleach blonde surfer Sting, but he still did that makeup and was a happy face. Um, and then the NWO came around and he became, the Crow Sting, uh, waiting up in the rafters with a baseball bat to murder the NWO. So if they weren't around, obviously I don't think the Crow character would have happened. But Sting was so over, he could have continued on as a face, just no problem. Um, and then you got to think Goldberg. What would have happened if he didn't have the NWO to go through? Would he have just been fed heel after heel? Would he have had to deal with Hall and Nash beating his undefeated streak and winning the title? Uh, would Goldberg have been a big deal if he didn't have the NWO to roll through? That's another question. So some of the things I'm pretty sure about. Some of the things, like I said, Sting and Goldberg, what would have become of them? I have a little more, few more questions about. And Lex Luger, um, again, another one I think would have been a bigger singles attraction. Although he was a pretty big attraction for them, but eventually he went to the Wolfpack and just kind of faded into the background. And without all the big guys joining the NWO, we would have just seen their stars shine brighter still. And Eric saying DDP was in WCW 1991. I believe he's right. Cactus Jack just got the win there after using a snow shovel.
Let's go back to some replay. Look at this. There's the suplex outside the ring, right up the steel rail. Catches back out to the floor. And there's the epic. Wonderful. And a pile drive death.
But yeah, thank you, Eric. Yeah, DDP was in WCW even longer than I said. I was just trying to be on the safe side. But yeah, he was there early. At 91, apparently. I'll take that date. Because I know he was in some of the Battle Bowls, which WCW did. Which, if you don't know what Battle Bowl was, in short, they had something called the Lethal Lottery. They put everybody's names in balls, like the Royal Rumble, where they put the numbers in balls, and they would randomly draw, quote unquote, randomly draw two partners to make a tag team. So they'd be, like Sting and Vader versus Cactus Jack and Paul Orndorff. A lot of times they pick people who didn't like each other. The winners of the tag matches got into a battle royal later in the night called Battle Bowl. And the winner of Battle Bowl won a ring, like a big Battle Bowl ring. And I used to really enjoy that. I thought it was a neat twist on a battle royal without copying the Royal Rumble. And in fact, we may do a Battle Bowl watch along sometime soon here because it was a unique, take on the Battle Royal. What made me think about that is just DDP. I remember him being in one of those early on. Yeah, '93 is what I'm thinking of. So yeah, and he was there before that even. So yeah, Cactus Jack got the pin in the Falls Count Anywhere match over Orndorff after hitting him with a snow shovel. I quite enjoyed that match. There were some hard hits there. I'm going to give that one 4.5 bones out of 5. I know you might be surprised at that rating, but I tell you, Mick Foley took some real bumps there. Orndorff looked good. It was a good, solid Falls Count Anywhere match. Yeah, 4.5 bones out of 5. That I gave 4.5 bones to, and Too Cold Scorpio beating Benoit, I gave 4.5 bones tonight. And Eric Tate says DDP started out in the AWA. Huh, I don't think I knew that. I guess maybe that's where he met Scott Hall. Is that right? Because I know he and Scott Hall were together early on in WCW. Yeah, I don't think I knew that about DDP starting in AWA. I always appreciate it when I can learn things.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Cornette. It's like
Heavenly Bodies versus the Rock and Roll Express. This should be pretty good.
Yes, so you can go back to the Nashville Civic Center and remember Silva International. Ricky and Robin were part of many of those. As a matter of fact, back in 1986, at the end of the Rock and Roll Express Super Summer Season 2, Ricky Morton held a concert where he sang, "So that crowd here, they love the wrestling 4 times, tag team champions in the world."
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Express. You've probably seen them recently in on AEW. Yeah, just absolute legends. One of the top 5 tag teams there's ever been. Is this a 3-on-2 match?
That comment, fans, was from Jesse the Body Ventura, who lives in Minnesota, by the way.
No.
And now we're going to have to settle the issue. Bobby Eaton is out there.
Yeah. Bobby Eaton is not wrestling. I didn't think so. Okay. It's the Heavenly Bodies versus the Rock and Roll Express.
Send Bobby back to his living room.
And this is when Jim Cornette was running Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He had his own promotion. And he run it in, I believe, in Western North Carolina, which is where they are, and would run it in Tennessee, hence the name Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Maybe a couple other places, but those I know for sure. And these were 2 teams he used in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and he kind of had an agreement with WCW here to showcase some of his talent. And later would have the same kind of agreement with the WWF to showcase some Smoky Mountain Wrestling talent. So it was an interesting promotion. Cornette definitely has his own take on wrestling and what it should be, and I mean, it was an entertaining promotion. Cornette runs the kind of wrestling that I like personally. Whatever you have to say about him as an individual or his opinions, he knows pro wrestling. So I appreciated it when he ran Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Yeah, this should be good here. We got that's Stan Lane in there, and that's Dr. Tom Pritchard on the outside. Well, now on the inside, and now on the outside. And Stan Lane would later be replaced in the Heavenly Bodies with the Gigolo, Jimmy Del Rey. The Heavenly Bodies would be in WWF, like I said, by fall of this year, I believe, fall of '93. I believe they were on the SummerSlam card, '93. I could be wrong about that, though. Eric says JC that year went to the WWF. Who's JC? Oh, Jim Cornette. Duh. Yeah, Jim Cornette went to the WWF and became very soon after this, like just a couple months after this, became Yokozuna's mouthpiece, which was great. Great combination. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji interfering on the outside and Jim Cornette also interfering and talking his shit. It's a great combination. I'll be right back. I gotta let the dog out. All right, come on. Come on, go out. Good.
Reversal into the corner. Vork bounces out. Orton. Ducks. A tight drop. And he pushes behind it. Head against it. Poor Max gets irate because the jacket almost came off. The jacket comes off.
So yeah, if you've just joined us, K Fabulous not with me tonight because well, we both have COVID, but she's coughing more than I am, so she's been banished because I knew you didn't want to hear her cough, and I didn't want to sit here and listen to her cough for 3 hours either. It can get very annoying, but I love her, and I hope she gets well very soon. I hope we both do. If you're just joining us, we are at 1 hour, 23 minutes, 25 seconds. And Eric says, Stan Lane went to WWF in 1994, not wrestling. So I guess a backstage role. What was he doing? A road manager? I wasn't aware of that. Or a booker or what? Probably a road manager is gonna be my guess. But I guess you'll tell me. Pretty good tag match here. WCW had a good tag team scene. I'm trying to think who the champions were at this point. I'm trying to think if we have a tag title match on this card. I don't think so. They haven't mentioned it. We got the U.S. title match coming up. We got the strap match coming up. We've got the NWA World title match coming up. Oh, Jim Cornette goes down. So there's 3. Do we only have 3 matches after this? That can't be. That can't be right. I'll be right back again. I'm sorry. Hey. That's enough. Come in. Oh. Eric says commentator. Okay, wow. I don't remember that. Talking about Stan Lane, what he did in WWF in '94. I do not remember that. My dog's all riled up for some reason. Let's see. Yeah, good tag match here. I cannot think who are the tag team champions at this point. I'm gonna look it up. I have my handy 2000 Wrestling Almanac and Book of Facts, which goes from like the beginning of time to 1990, or excuse me, to 2000. WCW Tag Team Champions at this point were Shane Douglas and Ricky Steamboat. Pretty random team. They won them in November '92 from Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham. And I don't think Shane Douglas and Ricky Steamboat are on this show. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to figure out what we got left. We got Dustin Rhodes versus Max Payne for the U.S. title. We got Vader and Sting in the strap match, non-title. We got Muta defending NWA World title against Wyndham. There's got to be another match because then we got this one. Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyways, we're at 1 hour, 28 minutes, 45 seconds if you're just joining us. Yeah, we got 1 hour, 22 minutes left for this match and 3 other matches. Seems like there has to be another match in there. We'll see, though. I don't know. Sit out powerbomb. Morton landed right on his tailbone. That's Ricky Morton, the blonde one for the Rock and Roll Express, and the other is Robert Gibson. And Ricky Morton, his son, maybe his grandson, is now a pro wrestler.
Did he get it? No, 2 count. That was fun. Arnold going down to the 3, the tag, Pritchard back in. We are seeing 2 teams with tremendous amount of teamwork.
Jim Cornette getting his team fired up.
Into the next section. Into the chest. Gibson will go back down. Elevates Pritchard. Morton still in the corner. Gibson is the man, but sneaks down. Pritchard now sporting. Referee's got to get one of them out of the ring. You can't signal out both of them to stay in there. That's what's going on.
Yeah, they're just double teaming Robert Gibson. There we go.
Pritchard makes the cover on Gibson.
Not quite.
He's got the attention of the referee one more time. Gibson over the top. That should have been a disqualification. Ref didn't see it though. You can't call when you don't see he's tied up with Jim Cornette. Continue. Oh, yes, puts it over.
Bobby Eaton interfering in there. And the Rock and Roll Express get the win.
Bobby came into the dressing room. Look at those showing that's going on here between the heavenly bodies. Bobby and Jim Cornette. He came in and dropped it on Richard Morton. He dropped it on top for top picture. And that, of course, spelled doom to the heavenly bodies. Take away the drum. Okay, you should.
Mm.
Beautiful Bobby coming down, hitting Dr. Tom Pritchard, the wrong man in this case. And there's the cover by Leonard Gibson. 1, 2, 3.
And Rock and Roll Express get the win over the Heavenly Bodies. And that one I give 4 bones out of 5. Pretty solid, good tag team match. There's more of the White Castle of Fear stuff. You should look up, try and find that whole vignette. I'm not sure where you can find it, but maybe they'll show it to us tonight. But you should look for that White Castle of Fear vignette. WCW spent a ton of money to have this castle and Big Van Vader's there, and Harley Race, I believe, is there. And I can't remember if his evil little person friend Cheatham was there. But yeah, and Sting shows up in a fucking helicopter and all this and challenges Vader for a match and just, wow. Eric says, I think WCW in 94 was like being WWF. You mean like was becoming more like WWF? I think you're right there.
He doesn't have Simmons. He's going to get me. He's going to get him right now. We go for our U.S. title match.
I still preferred WCW in 94, but I thought WWF caught up. I thought their 94 was better than their 93. Especially WrestleMania 10 and 94 was such a good show. Such a good WWF show. So here we got the United States title match with Dustin Rhodes defending against Max Payne.
The break and he'd be go hold up to 4 down and 5 you're disqualified. Also, you must realize in WCW, come on the top with a knee into the throat, you'll get disqualified. Dustin very anxious to go in.
Wait, say what? If you come off the top with a knee into the throat of a prone man, you'll get disqualified. Oh, is this might be the Bill Watts era still? I'm not sure. No, it wouldn't have been. But the Booker Bill Watts, he didn't allow top rope moves. But we saw Too Cold earlier do some top rope moves, and we saw some more. So this is not the Bill Watts era. But yeah, he removed all the mats from ringside and banned top rope moves, and then also made it illegal to throw your opponent over the ropes, over the top rope. You would get disqualified, and that lasted for years after he was gone. Also, just strange stuff.
Process rather than going on the heavy offensive. But Coach was probably talking to his old man, and his old man said, "Take it to him."
Because he hates fun? Yes, I think so, okay. I think that yeah, he was just an asshole from all records. I mean, it's not like I ever met him, but just from all accounts of people who worked for him, yeah, he just was a fucking asshole. And then he pushed his son down everyone's throat too, Eric Watts. Just like one of the worst bookers of all time. Just the worst kind of booker. He did book Ron Simmons to win the world title and become the first black world champion. Uh, so that's cool. That was the only thing of note that Bill Watts really did positively. That he really did.
I think he's crossed. I think he's really taken a nice approach. Look at Payne. Look at the way he backs away. He's not sure yet. And Dustin is well prepared.
Now we're in an era where I forget who said it, but a couple months ago, we were talking about, oh, are there enough black people on WWE and this and that and the other? Oh, Tony Khan says AEW has the best black wrestlers. I forget who said it, but someone said, we're not black wrestlers, we're just wrestlers. And I thought that was that was an apt statement. And we've come to that place because of people like Ron Simmons in WCW who paved the way when there were so few black wrestlers. I mean, the only one we've seen on this card has been Too Cold Scorpio. And I think that's the only one we do see on this card. So yeah, it is good to have to be in that place where we don't think of them as black wrestlers. We just think of them as wrestlers, just another wrestler. And yeah, Ron Simmons was instrumental in bringing that about and helping bring that about. And a lot of people, they see him now as Farouk, and especially in the old stuff when the APA, when he and Bradshaw will show up, or now I guess it's just Farouk shows up. But whatever. And they see him as Farouk, and they don't even think back to when he was in WCW and the first Black World Champion. It's like that feels like a lifetime ago. And that was in 1992, 12, 22, 33 years ago. Wait, am I right? 22, 21, 20, yes, 33 years ago. Anyway, so that's Bill Watts. He did that, at least. But yeah, the over the top rope disqualification, no one can use the top rope. I don't know. He hated the top rope for some reason. No mats around ringside. There was some other bullshit he did. I think he expected everyone to be there right on time. Like if you were supposed to be there at 5 and you got there at 5:01, you get fined. And just all this shit that seemed unnecessary to make him seem like an asshole.
Maybe he wants to give Dustin Rhodes the feeling that he can out-wrestle him, that he can control the tempo of the match. That's a good point. That certainly could be in his game plan as well. Pounding away at Dustin to the chest. Dustin once again from the corner of the big guy, and he is laying him in. Snap air tickle. And now I had a steam upstairs. Dustin moving away. Nobody home. Somebody home, and Dustin going to the arm. Dustin has stayed on the arm. And Dustin's move is the bulldog. Maybe he's trying to demoralize Tangle and show, hey, two people can hurt somebody's arm besides you. Well, I think what he's also trying to do here is try to take away his weapon. Into the corner. Right hand. Mounted Clark.
A decent match going here between Max Payne and Dustin Rhodes. Max Payne's in decent shape here for himself. He just kept gaining weight, as I remember it. Eric says Ron Simmons won it at a TV taping in Baltimore. Yeah. And he won it from Vader, I think it was.
Payne holds his ground. And that was the move that pushed the whole course of this matchup.
Checking my handy book here. Yeah, Ron Simmons won it August 2nd in Baltimore from Big Van Vader. Yep. Yeah, it's not long before this that Simmons had the belt. He lost it in December of 92 to Vader. December 30th, 92. And now here we are, February. About a month and a half before this, Ron Simmons was the world champion.
But still, Payne is hanging on that arm. Pressing down on that elbow, grinding the shoulder.
Max Payne certainly taking it slow on Dustin Rhodes here.
Like he was trying to turn him over. Basically, that's what he does. The move there for Dustin flipped over that time. He was trying to drive him down that time, Jess.
Yeah, for some people, I'm sure you're seeing the youngest Dustin Rhodes you've ever seen. You know, this is before Goldust and all that stuff. Before him in Ring of Honor. Now, obviously, before him in AEW.
Big Max Payne from Euphoria with the big clothesline right there.
Dustin Rhodes has always been good. This match not the best. Not yet. Not so far at least. But I don't blame that on Dustin.
The referee about breaking on the 5 count, like we said, wrestling on WCW rules.
Max Payne had a cool look and cool character, but in the ring, not the best.
On his knees to continue to try to slug it out. And Max Payne is relentless. Dustin rolling out from the apron to the floor.
Trying to order some food here. If I'm not talking much.
It's got to be Payne's advantage, I would think, somebody. Payne administering a lot of pain on a Dustin Rhodes. Dustin pulling himself up as he rolls in, but as he had his back turned, it allowed Max Payne to unload. And that's exactly what he is doing. He is unloading on Dustin Rhodes here. Oh, big back body drop by Payne. And now that confidence that we saw at the beginning of the match is back, and you can see it, Vince. Oh, yeah. Max is taking that state of euphoria right now. I guess that's what he's doing. He's talking to that person in the sky that he talked to a little earlier on the interview. But look at Dustin firing back. Dustin, giving him everything he's got. Fighting back. A big foot to the head. And Dustin, the one that goes down after that. Dustin Rhodes, never giving up, fighting, collide with Payne. And he's hurting Jesse. But look at him, he'll try it again. Right body press. Big mistake. Big mistake. And now Payne. Dustin. He is taking the onslaught of this big guy that continues to scamper each and every time. A mule kick. And that was right in the chest. A big Max Payne relentless. He's Stalking forward on Dustin Rhodes. Again, and he cannot block a few guys. He's into the balls with the Sunday man.
All right, food ordered. Sorry about that. If you're just joining us, we're watching Super Brawl 3, and we're at 1 hour 47 minutes 29 seconds. 147, well, 1 hour 47 34 seconds now. And we're watching Dustin Rhodes defend his U.S. title against Max Payne. Been a pretty slow match here, but we have seen some good wrestling tonight. We saw Too Cold Scorpio beat Chris Benoit early on. We saw Cactus Jack beat Paul Orndorff in a Falls Count Anywhere match where Mick Foley just brutalized himself to get a good match. What happened? Max Payne threw Rhodes over the top. Yeah. So Dustin Rhodes wins by disqualification, keeps the United States title over Max Payne. That one I'm gonna give that one 1.5 bones out of 5. Pretty boring match, I thought, unfortunately. Here's more of the White Castle of Fear. Well, I don't know why they're showing it in like 5-second segments. Okay.
The NWA title on the line. So much going on in Super Bowl III. And Missy, I got to hand it to you. You're betting 1,000. You said Ric Flair was going to be here. He's here. I also know you said that there's a surprise that you have. I think I know what it is. I know she told me. She told me right now. Let's get down. The game.
So we got an hour left. We got 2 matches. Is that right? I guess it could be. The Nature Boy. This is fairly shortly after he returned to WCW for his stint in, from his stint in WWF. He jumped to WWF because Bill Watts, it wasn't Bill Watts. It was the guy before him. Anyway, some guy they hired had run owned pizza restaurants, and they hired him to run WCW. I think it was Jim Hurd might be the name, but I could be totally wrong. But that's the name that's coming to mind. But he ran WCW, and he asked Ric Flair, he wanted him to shave his signature blonde hair and wear like sandals and do a gladiator gimmick. And Ric Flair was just as taken aback as you are probably right now hearing that. And so he left. That's why he left for WWF. Was because of that bullshit. And then he came back eventually here. Yeah. This might have been his return, honestly, but I'm not sure. He returned, I know, very, very close around this time.
Great to have you back. The fans are here behind you. A big night we're having so far. We're live. We're Here we go. Take it away. Ladies and gentlemen,
We've got the NWA World Title match. As Flair says, they're wrestling for the belt that he never lost. Yeah. Flair, when he left for the WWF, he actually took he was stripped of the title, but he actually took the physical belt with him to WWF, the big gold belt. This one back here, and said that I'm the real world champion. And who's going to argue with me? So. So, anyways, here we have the Great Muta defending it against Barry Windham. It's a Great Muta and that big gold belt. Great Muta, if you've never seen him before, you're in for a treat. Very good wrestler.
Jono, of course, was a tremendous champion, but what a great match that was. The Great Muta, who has simply been in the United States before, his name on that belt, hero match soon is working. Here's Big Muta, the wrestler of WCW, with double the ring. We're going to listen in to the pre-match rundown. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion. As I step into the dressing room, and you go by the NWA rule. Like to remind you, going over the top.
Referee Randy Anderson seems very excited by the match. Johnny says CM Punk should have done the same storyline once he returns to WWE. Oh, like with the AEW belt? Is that what you mean? And Eric Tate said, and that's why WCW made a new world heavyweight title in 1991. Exactly. Flair left with it, and WCW made the world title. And who was the first one? Let's see. First WCW world champion. It came about January 11th, 91. First champion. Well, that can't be right.
I've known him since he was 18 years old, and this man's ready for his first world championship.
Well, the first WCW world champion acknowledged was Ric Flair, who had been the NWA world champion. And then Flair, let's see, was stripped of the title July 1st. I see. And then they had a tournament July 14th to determine a new WCW world champion. And Lex Luger won by beating Barry Windham, actually, in the final of the tournament. So that's weird. The book is saying Ric Flair was the first WCW champion. He was acknowledged as the first WCW world champion during his NWA title reign. So technically, according to this book, which Pro Wrestling Illustrated put out, and they're an authority on wrestling. According to this book, he was WCW and NWA world champion at the same time, until he left for WWF, and lost both of them. Interesting. I did not realize that.
Wyndham's going to win. This.
Yeah.
Yes, he would. Well, I'm going to say this. I've reported many times too. He's got tremendous athletic ability. I look at it more acrobatic than Wyndham.
And this was the Great Muda's only world title reign. But he was very deserving of it. Very good wrestler. Eric Tate says Lex. Yeah. Yeah, it got very muddy in that period, 1991, when Flair left for WWF. It was very muddy. Who's the champion? Who are we gonna call it NWA? Is it gonna be WCW? This and that. Flair still has the belt. Like, Flair created a big mess, as you can imagine. I mean, and he was he wasn't the biggest star back then. Obviously, that was, Hulk Hogan, probably Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, were the bigger stars. But Flair was one of the bigger stars in the world back then. So for him to just jump ship was a huge deal in 1991. And now here he is on commentary for that NWA World Title, again, as he calls it, the belt he never lost. Wow, Muda is looking awesome here.
He's a second generation wrestler. He learned a lot from his dad. Believe me, his dad was one of the toughest of all time. Never walked into that squared circle. Absolute. Like Jack Foley. What a competitor.
Yeah, so as Eric said, so this is the lineage. This is the old title. This is the NWA World Title. That was the world title for many, many years. If people said the world title, they were talking about this. The lineage goes, let's see, from 1904 to I guess today. The NWA title is still around. It's not in this form, so I wouldn't count it as the same lineage personally. I don't know if it is actually considered the same lineage, but like I said, I wouldn't consider it. But 1904 here till 1993, we just have the NWA title. Okay, fabulous, everyone.
Hi. Not coughing at the moment.
Not coughing
But
at the moment.
only at the moment.
Yeah. And Eric says if Rick never left WCW, would WCW make a new world heavyweight title? That's a good question. As I understand it, Ted Turner wanted the branding to be WCW, World Championship Wrestling. He didn't want his branding to be NWA, which, he didn't buy that. He bought the Mid-Atlantic territory, and I'm going to call it WCW. And in my understanding, he wanted a WCW world title. And of course, the NWA is the NWA. They didn't want to change the name of it to WCW world title. So I think even if Flair never left, I think we would have ended up with a WCW world title and an NWA world title. Yes, I do. Johnny says, yes, CM Punk could have called himself the real world champion in WWE. Yeah, I guess he could have taken the AEW belt with the big X on it and taken that to WWE. That would have been interesting. Oh, I didn't get what you meant before, Johnny. Yeah, when he jumped to WWE. God, I'm sorry. I wasn't even thinking. You were referencing it like Flair when he jumped from WCW to WWF. Yeah, I get what you're saying now. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking before for some reason. But yeah, that would have been something. I don't know, because I don't remember if there actually were lawsuits, but there were a lot of threats of lawsuits back then. And at some points, WWF would blur out the NWA title belt. They would blur it out. And then when they did show it on TV, at one point they used an old WWF World Tag Team title. It just got, the whole thing got very strange. And then when it came back to WCW, they called it, at first, I think they just called it the Big Gold Belt. And then at one point it was called the World Title, which got confusing because there were two world titles. And then it was called the NWA World Title, which it is here. And then to top it all off, later this year, 93, that we're watching later this year, it would become known as the WCW International Title. And then it was referred to as the WCW International World Title. So the Big Gold Belt has probably had more names than any belt in history, I think, out of the big promotions. Definitely. And then it went on to be the WWE World Heavyweight Title and whatever else they ended up calling it as well.
Has that belt had more names than Jericho with his gimmicks?
Yes. Yeah. Kay asked, has that belt had more names than Chris Jericho has had gimmicks? And it would be close. It would be close. I don't know now, actually. It would be very close. But yeah, so there's kind of the history of the NWA World Title belt in WCW. So it's confusing, I know. Even I'm confused by it because, yeah, all started in 1991 and 91 through 93 were very confusing. You know, who is the world champion? Which belt means more? This one that goes back to 1904 or the one we call WCW? That is our company, after all, is WCW. So there's a lot of debate which one means more. And a lot of the wrestlers, whatever they wanted the fans to believe, a lot of the wrestlers, thought it's this one that goes back to 1904. Of course, the big gold belt we've all been fighting for years. And of course, it didn't always look like that. But that's the most well-known look for it. The NWA title, I think, is the big gold belt. Yeah, this has been a good match here. As I've talked about the NWA belt history.
The nature boy, wherever he goes, women chase after him, all that problem. But you got two security. How about the garage? Hold up the thing. When I was running to walk in the building, get there in a while. You always had security, same applies. These guys look like CIA agents. Headsets on. These guys are here on business. On the payroll.
That side headlock is still on, Ben. Wyndham did try to belly his back. He had tried many different maneuvers to get out of it. He found an hour out of it, but Buddha hangs on to it. The elbow down his arm.
And so Barry Windham, of course, is Bray Wyatt's uncle. If you didn't know that, he's the man. Bray Wyatt was named after. Nice DDT there.
I'd say we're ready to make this move right now. How about that, body? It's down. He caught him with the DDT. He's got to follow it up right now with something devastating. Kick to the belly.
Wyndham is on fire with each and every blow here. Look at this. Side of the head with that.
I'll be right back.
Fill that on the far side. There he is. You can see him. Wyndham.
Outside the ring, no kick. It's laying right on top of concrete. I feel safe as heck out here.
Love you.
Look at he's walking into him. He's
Oh. Got myself some dinner here.
$270 right across the floor. Big thought about it. Changed his mind and decided he would work just as well. Here he's going to try it again.
He makes sure that Muda is down. Boy, he tries a high risk maneuver. Now he's going to cover. Got him 2 count. And great move. Picked out 1 count.
A few more knees in the face. The 4 feet. Whatever it is.
Oh, Wyndham has Muda in a sleeper hold there. The Omega Red fan. I haven't seen you in a while. I said, man, I was really hoping Roman Reigns won the Rumble. I know a lot of people were. Eric says, I think WWE needs only 1 world champion, not 2. I totally agree. Yeah. I don't think any company needs 2 world champions. It means more if there's only 1, of course, you know. So I totally agree. I know it just means more because then there's always the question of who's number 1, who's number 2, and right now I think we could honestly say Cody's belt is number 1 because not only is he bigger deal than Gunther, but he won the belt from Roman. It's the undisputed title, so I guess that's the big one. But then why call Gunther's the world title also? I'm with you, Eric. I don't like having 2 world title belts. It's the same deal I was just talking about with WCW, NWA, that deal where you're constantly, guessing, okay, we got 2, which one's the real one or the big one, which one's not? And why do we even want to fight for the second one? If it's not the big one, why not just go for the top one? And those kind of questions, Yeah, Omega Red fan. I hadn't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Said he was hoping that Roman Reigns won the Rumble. So if Reigns won the Rumble, who would you have wanted him to face? Cody again or Gunther?
You're going to play, you got to be afford the pain if you get caught.
But the end result is the Great Muda is in major trouble here now. And Wyndham is relentless. He's not going to let up at all here.
Nobody I know who's looking blind that tells me that all the time.
Just one?
Let me ask you, Shivani, do you even know if we're looking blind? No, I don't. Didn't think so.
Top of the head.
You got it right.
Back to the side of his very Wyndham right now is in command of this match.
You know,
He gets command of this match. 1, 2.
this is how you get to be the NWA champion. You get after it hard and fast. Obviously, Muda's still feeling the effects of the sleeper. He's groggy. And Wyndham has got to take advantage of this chance right now to win the whole thing.
Nice block. Ball going down. He's covered by Barry. 1, 2. Muda kicks away.
Hey, you got to give Muda a lot of credit here. He ain't giving up that title easy.
Guys, it seems that Muda may be getting a second win here. Wyndham, right on top of the head.
This match has gone on so long, we're starting to see Muda's face.
Right to the feet of Ric Flair goes Great Muda. Barry Wyndham just pulls off and slaps the tape on every back.
Hit right. Muda's hurt.
Yeah, this match has gone for a little bit. You know, I didn't think, like I said, I thought there had to be another match. But I guess this one's going a bit, and I guess Sting versus Vader is going to go a little bit also, because, yeah, there aren't any more matches. Michael, what's up, man? Big fan of wrestling. Yeah, we all are here. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see that you're here, rather. And for those of you, if you're just joining us, we're watching Super Brawl 3, and we are at 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 23 seconds. So we got the NWA World Title match here, and then coming up, the main event is Sting versus Big Van Vader. Vader is the WCW champion, but it's a non-title match. It's a strap match. And Michael says Vader is the best wrestler ever. I don't know about that. You could argue it, that's for sure. Eric asked, do you think Cena will turn heel at his final match forever? No. I think he wants to go out a face. I mean, he seems like a genuinely good person in reality. So yeah, I think Cena wants to go out as a face. I don't think he wants to throw any wrench in the machine, any wrench in the cogs and mess anything up. Just face. Yeah, good guy. That's what I think. I'd be shocked if he turned heel. I'd be shocked. Michael Mack says Roxanne Perez should go to the main roster. I guess she's in NXT. I'm sorry, I don't watch NXT. Nothing really against it. I just don't, I don't have time, honestly. Because I watch all the WWE, I watch all the AEW, I do these retro things, so I don't have time for more wrestling after that. At least I don't have more time for wrestling that I'm doing like shows on and stuff. I watch other wrestling just for fun. That I don't do shows on. Michael says Roxanne Perez. Oh, I thought I recognized her name. Michael says Roxanne Perez almost won the Women's Royal Rumble this year. Okay. I know that name. Yeah, I remember her now. And of course, Charlotte Flair won the Women's Royal Rumble. She's deciding who she's going to face at WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair might be my favorite wrestler in WWE, male or female. She might be. She's fantastic, I think.
The match we are seeing for the NWA title.
I think the longer the match goes, the advantage is going to shift even more towards Wyndham because he didn't have to do the traveling and do it to get here.
That could be a good point, too. He goes face first.
Gary Wyndham said the part of the boot is legal as long as you ain't picking him with the toe wire. Got that kid there? Wyndham does a standard thumb in the eye. I don't care who you are, Shivani, that'll stop you.
Michael asks, "Do you think AEW is the new WCW?" To me, it is. I know a lot of people see it that way. I'll answer kind of. I mean, it's on the Turner station, so that makes it feel a little like WCW, TBS, and TNT. But their roster's totally different makeup. Their booking attitude is totally different. The way they put on bigger shows is totally different. So I think the similarities kind of begin and end with them being the number two promotion and being on the Turner networks. And I think past that, the any connection to WCW is just on the face. And then I think once you look into the companies more and what they were about, I don't think there's much similarity there. Michael Mack seems like he wants MJF to go to WWE in the future. I've heard quite a few people say that lately. I bet he will at some point. I don't know. He's been so instrumental in helping AEW grow, and I'm sure he's being well paid. I don't know. He might stay for like most of his career. I don't know. He may go to WWE for a bigger challenge, for a different challenge, I should say. Maybe he wants to wrestle WrestleMania. A lot of wrestlers still feel big, still feel that they really want to wrestle at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, my words escape me. Uh, yeah, a lot of guys and gals, that's the pinnacle of the business, is to wrestle at WrestleMania. Now, of course, we've seen all-in shows be bigger than WrestleMania as far as attendance. So I think we have a whole different generation who might be looking at All In as the show they want to wrestle at. Now, of course, WrestleMania is still the prestige and all, is still the number one show in the business. But I think All In is closing in on that pretty quickly. Barry Windham wins the NWA title. There you go.
This is interesting. Look at this. Players actually slamming the bell on the very window.
So Barry Windham wins the NWA World Title. That's the biggest win of Barry Windham's career. We just saw there. His only world title win. And that was a good match, I thought. 4 bones out of 5, I give it. Good match. Some parts a little on the slower side, but I don't mean that in a bad way. They weren't boring, they were just slower. But yeah, the action was good. Both guys look good. Things look legit. Here we go. More of the White Castle affair. You got to see that if you haven't seen it. You got to see that. Michael says Jey Uso winning the Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania 41. I highly doubt that, Michael. And he says Cody Rhodes might be turning heel. I don't think so, but maybe. I mean, a little bit down the road, I think, and perhaps. I think they'd be foolish if they turned him heel, just because he's so over. He's such a baby face. He's like a natural baby face. I guess you could do it, but I wouldn't if I were them. But will they? I don't know. Will they or won't they? I don't know. And EBK Mac wrestling the best ever in history. I agree with that. And Eric asks, do you think WWE needs to have an all-new WCW, rebrand WCW? I mean, they have the rights to it. It couldn't hurt. I say why not? I say why not? It feels like you might have to get rid of NXT to do it. Because then I think you might be stretching yourself a little too thin trying to run WCW, NXT, and WWE. I think that would be a little too much to do. So I think get rid of NXT and then the people who were in it would be in NXT, put them in WCW, and of course mix some of the WWE guys and gals who don't get enough TV time and stuff like that, and some of the bigger ones, put them in WCW as well. Yeah, I think they should do a rebrand. I think the WCW name still means a lot to a lot of people. I would love to see it. I would love to see a WCW rebrand, and it's getting a little late. It's getting to where maybe that name doesn't mean so much to people, but I think they should still do it. Yeah, I think it would be great. And then even more competition for AEW, for WWE, who has way more money. Well, that's wrong. They don't have more money than AEW. They just have more experience than AEW. And I think putting out two promotions would be a good move. Yeah. EBK Max says, what would happen if ECW came back in the future for WWE? I don't know. That's an interesting question because, yeah, they own ECW. They own all that stuff, too.
Big Van Vader and Sting began 1 year ago. With Vader and Sting in the chair. Months later, in the month of July, Vader would be our heavyweight champion. And broke Sting's ribs in April of 82 or 92. Then in July of 92 again, December. Sting was beat Big Van Vader.
Well, obviously, Shahani, the advantage is Vader's because Vader weighs 450 pounds. And Stick has to literally drag him to 4 consecutive ring posts to win the match. So, just on weight alone, Vader has extreme advantage.
Also remember, you'll get much more than just breaking man around.
So I'll answer your question in 1 second. So here's our main event. We got the WCW World Champion, Big Van Vader, taking on Sting. This is a non-title match. As you heard them say, this is so violent. It's not sanctioned by WCW, so no title on the line here. But it's the White Castle of Fear strap match. And so they're connected with a leather strap. And what you have to do is get your opponent, get so much of the strap that you have your opponent in your hands and can take him around the ring. And you can hit your opponent's head or you can just slap the turnbuckle pad, but you have to get all 4 corners of the ring. That's how a strap match ends.
Vader hanging Sting. You saw right at the top of SuperBrawl. And then the beating Sting took at the hands of Big Van Vader and Barry Windham helped out.
But yeah, EBK. What happens if ECW comes back for WWE? The one thing I'll say, if WWE does that, they better go for authenticity. I mean, if you're bringing it back and calling it ECW, there better be blood, there better be barbed wire, there better be tables. I don't see them doing that nowadays. I think a lot of performers, a lot of workers have moved past that. They don't want to hurt themselves. I'm glad. I don't want to see people hurt themselves. And I loved ECW as much as anybody did. But nowadays, now that I'm older, I see all that shit with tables and glass and all this. I'm just like, oh my God, I hope no one gets hurt. And I didn't used to feel that way. But if you're going to bring back ECW, like I said, do it legit. I want, hot women, tough guys, uh, blood, barbed wire, steel cage matches, and tables busting and chairs getting thrown in. You can't do the chair shots to the head. We're past that. We know that causes way too much damage to people's brains to do anymore. But a lot of chair shots to other parts would be fine. But yeah, do it for real if you're going to bring it back, which is why I don't think they'll ever bring it back.
Drag your man to 3 quarters and he breaks your momentum, then you have to start again.
Yep. Has to be 4 in a row. It wants me to tell him about pain. Or him about pain.
Actually, Sting was pretty far away that time. I'm not so sure if Vader hit it like he wanted to or not. The result, though, basically, is he tried it.
So yeah, if you're just joining us, well, one, where have you been all night? But also, we're at 2 hours, 29 minutes, 2 seconds. We have 21 minutes left in the show here. And this again, it's World Champion Big Van Vader versus Sting, a non-title match. But it's been pretty good so far, and I think it will continue to be good. Both of these guys can go. Both two of the best ever.
Now, why is he going out after race?
The point out, to go on the top turtle, the future rate of the way. I've never seen Vader like that. Ever. I think he's out.
Nice splash there by Sting.
Here we go.
That's exactly what you need to do. Render your opponent.
He's going to return November here, so
And that lady loves it. She wants Vader to pay. Vader was a pretty bad guy back then. He was teaming up with Harley Race, who's one of the meanest heels. Oh, speaking of which, there goes Harley. He's one of the meanest heels ever. Harley Race was world champion a couple times as well. Harley was.
Over and over.
you know, it's an interesting concept what's happening. Neither man is made any attempt to get the ball through.
Sting definitely in control of Vader here. Oh, he's not going to. Oh, my goodness. Not going to make it to 3.
The referee waved up. Look at Vader's back. From the whip and Sting David in that ring.
Yeah, been a pretty good match here. Eric Tate says, was he ever a face? Are you talking about Vader? Because if so, the answer is yes. He was a face for oh my goodness, for a short time in WWF. He was a face. And WWF, seemingly, Vince McMahon just had no idea. Pardon me, just had no idea how to use Vader because they really misused him, and I believe he ended up going back to Japan rather than staying with the WWF. But yeah, I think he was a face. Yeah. Oh, Race. Excuse me, Harley Race. Man, not that I know of. Was he ever a face? The best answer I can give you is maybe, but I've never seen him as a face. So if he were a face, it would have had to have been early on in his career. Yeah, I mean, he's just such a natural, dirty, mean dude, Harley Race. So I just don't see it. Don't see him as a face, no.
I'll tell you, that's the risk you run if you go up to that top rope. You better give it. 450 down to the chest in the face of Sting. Oh, oh, my goodness. Why did you? Oh, my. At 450 pounds. Oh.
Man, you want to talk about believability? Just look at Big Van Vader. I mean, you're convinced he's beating a guy up,
Seven-time world champion on the outside.
Harley Race, 7-time world champ. I did not realize he held it that many times. Of course, he is one of the legends of the business. Did not get there overnight.
Is the whole thing for me?
No,
Okay.
just pick what you want. Eric says King Race was gold. Yeah, definitely. He's referring to the late '80s when Harley Race was king. King Harley Race. You know, kind of like how Jerry Lawler had dubbed himself the King of Wrestling. Harley Race dubbed himself the King of Wrestling.
No sauce?
Vader's going up in here.
It's K Fabulous again, ladies and gentlemen. There she goes, back to her dungeon. Back to her COVID dungeon. You hear her coughing there. Yep, like a dragon. A dragon blowing its flame. He crotches Vader, and that's 4 crotch shots to Vader during this match.
You know what's amazing? Is how Vader, after all of that, is still the first one to get out. This guy is just top. I mean, I give Sting credit. I think Sting's crazy for taking this boat. He wants it. They were fighting on their knees. That's how much they hate the fight.
Eric says he's praying for Kay. I appreciate that. I'm sure she would appreciate that. I'll let her know. Yeah, she's doing okay. She's been sick honestly since right before Thanksgiving. I don't think it's been COVID the whole time, but she was sick since right before Thanksgiving, and now it's February, whatever it is, 6th. So I don't know. Maybe it was COVID the whole time. I have no idea, but she was tested for COVID like twice and got negatives. And she went back to the doctor, and this was like the 4th time she's been to the doctor about all that. Just a bad cough. That's the main thing, a bad cough and fever. And she'd been to the doctor about this, and the 4th time she went, they gave her her 3rd COVID test, which was positive. So you can maybe hear her in the background, which is why she's not on the show tonight. It's just she's coughing, can't stop coughing. But she's gonna be fine. We hope she's feeling better than she did like 4 or 5 days ago. So that's nice. Yeah, and she got me sick. I have COVID now too. But I'm just a little sick. I'm not feeling as bad as she was.
What's going on at all of us, dude? This is out to end this man's career. Vader wants to beat him up. That's Vader's prerogative. Get out of the way, ref.
But thank you, Eric. We appreciate that. Yeah. Hopefully, she was on last night's AEW Dynamite watch along, but then her cough got worse today, so she wasn't able to be on the show tonight. Yeah, we got a good one going here between Sting and Vader. I'm not always a fan of strap matches. But this has been a good one, just because it limits what you can do, you know? Limits what you can do in the ring, or outside of the ring, for that matter. Limits what you can do, but these two have worked around it and worked with it and been fine. Put on a very good match here. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's a lot of power to German suplex Vader there. DDT. I tell you, I was there. I was lucky enough to be there for Sting's final match in Greensboro last March, AEW Revolution, and that was the best wrestling show I've ever been to. You had the main event with Sting and Darby Allin defeating the Young Bucks. You had Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. Probably the best match I've ever seen live. Just a fantastic show. It's just a fantastic show. But yeah, Sting's final match, and of course, he and Darby, they went out as an undefeated tag team, and Sting went out as an AEW World Tag Team Champion. So very cool. And then of course they had to vacate the belts. Uh, oh my God, that was some referee bump right there. But of course they had to vacate the belts, but it was still a cool way to go out. Sting went undefeated in AEW and retired as a champion, and didn't win any singles titles to take away from the younger stars. Oh fuck! To take away from the younger stars winning a title. Eric said, "I stay home a lot." Yeah, me too, man. Us too. It costs a lot of money to go out. Excuse me, I had to go do some coughing of my own. Oh, I almost missed the damn end of the match. I'm sorry about that. Look at Vader. Sting taking revenge on Vader here. Shit.
They showed a tremendous matchup in the White Castle of Beer. SuperBrawl III, everything that we had hoped
And then some. I know that the SuperBrawl party's going on all over the area. I know that you saw a right in the scene. A little bit earlier on. I know you're out of here.
That's a good match. Good main event. Excuse me. Big Van Vader winning. I gave that one 4.5 bones out of 5. Very good match, I thought. Good job with the strap. And then here we had Barry Windham win the NWA World Title over the Great Muta. I gave that one 4 bones out of 5. Another good match. Good show, I thought. There was only like 2 matches that I didn't care for, and the rest of them pretty good. I'm gonna go back over the show real quick after we're done here. Wyndham's talking right now, and then I'll give my overall rating for the show. And if y'all want to give overall ratings too, I would love to. I'd love to know what y'all thought too.
You have to wonder. I'm sure fans all over want to know what's next on your agenda. Like I said, any championship that anybody holds is up for grabs. Barry Windham is the NWA Heavyweight Champion, and I am going to take all championships.
Barry Windham just claimed he's going to win all the championships. All right.
All right, Eric. And what this was, Jeff? You had a little bit of everything from a wrestling fan.
Tony Schiavone, I barely got any voice left. That.
Jesse the Body has no voice left. Give me a break. But I tell you what, it was a tremendous battle with Sting and Big Van Vader. Sting almost had it. Harley Race got the hand in, and we had a big night, Jesse.
Absolutely. Vader wins the slap.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Asheville. We'll see you next time.
Very good show. Pardon me. So it said senior producer Virgil Runnels, which leads me to believe that Dusty Rhodes was the booker here on this show. But I'll go over things in a minute. Eric says I stay home a lot. Yeah, we do too. Just man, it costs so much goddamn money to go out and to eat. It's like we can cook at home. We're fine. We go out to eat maybe. I don't know. Not many times a year. I'd say like 5 times a year, maybe 6 times a year, something like that. We don't go out to eat very much unless it's someone's birthday or something like that. If we do go out, we go to play pinball. We love pinball. We go to different spots to find different machines and play pinball. And then we'll go to wrestling shows. Obviously, AML is our local indie. AML Wrestling. And then we go to hockey games. We have minor league hockey games here. The Carolina Thunderbirds. And Eric says, "Is Barry doing all right now?" Oh, Barry. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Let me look real quick. I was gonna say I just saw him. Seems to be doing okay. I don't find anything terrible when I Google him. He's 64 years old. And I just saw him. I was watching the Bray Wyatt documentary today. And I saw him in it, and he looked pretty good. Looked in good shape. So hopefully he is. Yeah, I don't see anything negative about him. So hopefully he's good. Hopefully he's fine. He had a heart attack. Now I'm finding some bad stuff. He had a heart attack and has upcoming medical expenses. And if you go to BarryWindhamOfficial.com, you can buy a Barry Windham 4 Horsemen shirt, and all the proceeds go to helping pay for Barry Windham's medical expenses. So that's very cool. Again, Barry Windham Official, BarryWindham Official.com. But yeah, so check that out. I may get that shirt. Let's see how much it is. Wow, that's not bad at all. $15 they want for the shirt. Um, I think I can probably spare $15. I don't know if they have my size. Anyways, I can do this later. Oh, they do have my size. I'm going to review the show in just a second. I'm sorry. All right. So yeah, I didn't know that about Barry Windham. So there you go, Eric. Yeah, doing well as he can after a heart attack and waiting for I guess some heart procedures or something. Um, I don't know. I'll look more into that personally. But yeah, let's go right over the show. I thought it was a very good show. Go back over my ratings real quick. Opening it up, we had Stunning Steve Austin and Flying Brian Pillman. They beat Eric Watts and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Pretty good match, 3.5 bones out of 5. Next up, we had Too Cold Scorpio pinned Chris Benoit with a roll up. Very good match, 4.5 bones out of 5. That was the match of the night, I would say. I should have saved that for later, but oh well. Davey Boy Smith beat Wild Bill Irwin with a running power slam. 2 bones out of 5. Just Davey Boy Smith looked great, but just the match wasn't much of anything. And Irwin looked pretty shitty, actually. Falls Count Anywhere match. Cactus Jack pinned Paul Orndorff after hitting him with a snow shovel. Very fun match. Pretty brutal on the part of Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. Gave that one 4.5 bones out of 5 also. The Rock and Roll Express beat the Heavenly Bodies. Robert Gibson got the pin. Just a good, solid tag team match. Fun match. Everyone looked good. 4 bones out of 5 there for the Rock and Roll Express win. U.S. title match. The champion Dustin Rhodes beat Max Payne by disqualification after Payne threw Rhodes over the top rope. That one was a stinker. Very boring match, unless I missed something. It was a boring match. 1.5 bones out of 5. Up next, we had the NWA World Title match, where Barry Windham won his only world title, won it from the Great Muta, and I gave that match 4 bones out of 5. Solid match, showcasing both guys what they had. It was a good match, entertaining. And yeah, look up more Great Muta if you like that match, because he's had a ton of good matches, ton of great matches, I should say. And only recently retired here, last year or so, last maybe 2 years or so. I believe that's right. Anyway, and the main event, we had a non-title White Castle of Fear strap match. And WCW World Champion Big Van Vader got the win against Sting. Good match. 4.5 bones out of 5. I thought both men did as much as they could with the strap and used it for some leverage and some violence. Whipping each other as well. Good show overall. Best match of the night, I got to give Too Cold Scorpio versus Chris Benoit. I mean, those two are showing off. This is 1993 SuperBrawl III, and those two were showing off kind of the style that people go for in AEW nowadays. And I mean that in a good way. I love AEW. But yeah, a lot of flips, but mixing the technical wrestling with the high flying wrestling, with the classic style of wrestling, having all that in there just made for a great match. Scorpio beating Chris Benoit. Worst match of the night had to be that Dustin Rhodes win over Max Payne. it was just unrelentingly boring. I can't tell you one thing that happened in that match besides each of them put on a rest hold, like a headlock or something that lasted 2 minutes or more. Uh, I don't know what the purpose of that match was, but it was boring beyond belief. Show rating as a whole, I'm gonna give it a solid. Man, I'm torn. Well, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.5 bones out of 5. Even though we had the Davy Boy Smith match, which was pointless, and we had the Rhodes versus Payne match, which was a stinker. Um, Everything else I really enjoyed. So, and then 3 4.5 bone matches with Vader versus Sting, Scorpio versus Benoit, and Cactus Jack versus Paul Orndorff. Uh, so pretty good showing. So yeah, I'm gonna give it the 4.5 bones out of 5. I quite enjoyed it. WCW SuperBrawl III. If y'all want to share your bone ratings, please feel free. And so I'm going to tell you real quick. I have a couple things to say, but first I want to thank you just for joining me tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself as much as I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed talking to you as always. And I'm going to tell you just a couple things we have coming up this week. Tomorrow night, Friday, we're off. Saturday at 7:55, we're doing an AEW Collision watch along. That'll be myself, hopefully K Fabulous, and Wolf, and hopefully Willie and Dylan. We'll see who all is there for Collision. Sunday night is the Super Bowl. We're off. We're not doing anything wrestling related. I may do something during the day. In fact, I think I will, but I don't know what yet. So I'll think about it and announce it. Monday, 7:55, we're doing a Raw watch along. And same crew, myself, hopefully K Fabulous, and Wolf will be there. Hopefully Willie and Dylan will be there. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m., AEW Weekly. That's K Fabulous and I. We do a weekly show where we wrap up the week in AEW. You know, we talk about Collision, we talk about Dynamite, what we thought of the matches. K Fabulous has her wrestling fashion report. We do our top 5 ratings for the men, women, and tag teams. We talk about angles happening in AEW, all sorts of stuff. If you love AEW, great show. AEW Weekly at 7 on Tuesdays, and that's available as an audio podcast also. And then Wednesday we will be back here with an AEW Dynamite watch along, 7:55 with K Fabulous, myself, Wolf, and hopefully Willie and Dylan. And let's see, Omega Red fan says Mike Bailey is legit for real. Yes, he is. I saw him in November, Thanksgiving weekend. I cannot remember who he wrestled, but he's very good. Yeah. I hadn't seen him wrestle. I just heard all the tales about how good he was and this and that. And yeah, very good. He's going to have a good career wherever he ends up going with the big, larger companies. You know, he's going to have a very good career, I think. But everybody, the schedule I just gave you is available on X. If you go and just, look a few posts down, the schedule I just gave you is there. And yeah, like this, please follow us, subscribe. That's the best way to know. Well, you can look at the schedule, but also if you subscribe, it'll tell you whenever we come on, whenever we have new content. And of course, it saves on YouTube. The only things you kind of have to watch live are these watch alongs. Well, even that's not true. If you just go and watch the countdown, you can just watch the countdown with us, and then it's like you're watching it with us. So, never mind. But yeah, everything's on YouTube. And just check us out, share us with other wrestling fans. Help the word grow. No bones about wrestling. And we will see you again. We'll see you tomorrow. Nope. Again, it's Friday. We will see you Saturday at 7:55 for our AEW Collision watch along. Use your turn signals. And we love you and have a great night. Thank you.